Throughout this series and throughout season 1, we've seen that Charlie recognizes the power of rhetoric, respects it when others use it, attempts to utilize these strategies herself, and more often than not, utterly fails to further her own agenda. In episodes 1 through 6, Charlie manages a few hard-earned partial victories, like recruiting Lucifer and Emily to help her while drawing the exorcist's ire and putting a target on the Hazbin and her friends. It's only in episode 7 that Charlie starts to get some traction of her own, and it's largely due to the fact that someone's finally giving her some guidance.
She's filled with potential that I could guide.
Alistair isn't the only character to encourage her, but he's the first to figure out what she's doing wrong and teach her how to improve as a persuasive speaker. By contrast, Lucifer has a habit of throwing Charlie into situations for which she's not prepared. Either he doesn't know that she struggles with persuasive speaking, or he thinks that this is the sort of thing you can learn simply by doing. In episode 1, he asks her to go to the Heaven Embassy to meet the leader of the exorcists for a meeting. As we've already discussed in detail, Charlie goes in thinking she can
change their minds and touch their hearts,
and gets absolutely nowhere with these people who just want to give her a heads up that
we've made the determination to move up the next extermination.
In episode 5, he asks if she's sure she'll be okay in a meeting with the angels, and this is also a tricky question to navigate. He's not offering her help. Charlie just spent an entire episode trying to talk him around to giving her the meeting at all. If she says, "No, I'm not prepared," he might revoke the meeting entirely. So she says yes, even though she's anything but prepared. In fact, as soon as Lucifer's out of the room, she turns to Vaggie for help and clings to her, even as she tries to make excuses not to go.
Because you'll be with me.
In spirit, right?
In heaven.
Vaggie is also not particularly helpful when it comes to figuring out how to use rhetoric effectively. She can offer encouragement, but she doesn't know how to offer support. For example, in episode 4, she tells Charlie,
Well, I mean, you're the princess of hell.
And that as such,
maybe you can, I don't know, command a little more authority.
She can advise Charlie how to think about commanding authority.
It's not mean exactly, it's aggressive kindness.
But she doesn't know how it works and can't give Charlie step-by-step instructions on how to wield it. When Charlie tries to put it in practice, she ends up flubbing her interaction with Valentino. Fortunately, there is one powerful orator in Charlie's life who steps up to be the teacher she needs. In episode 7, Alistair gives her concrete advice and helps her to make her pitch more effectively. At the beginning of the episode, Charlie is at her lowest, both in the sense that she is farthest from her goal and in that she feels no one will believe her. Even her friends and allies begin to doubt her. Husk questions her competence.
How come every time Charlie talks to heaven, we get in deeper and deeper shit?
Angel Dust questions her willingness to follow through with her Hazbin project.
And where is Miss Fearless Leader anyway? Isn't it about time for another doomed to fail plan?
At this point, we've seen Charlie from not knowing how to pitch her hotel, to not knowing her audience, to not being the right person to make the pitch. It's clear that if Charlie's to turn things around, she needs to learn some concrete rhetorical skills, and we're not the only ones to have diagnosed the problem. Alistair the Radio Demon is a skilled orator with real experience in the field of public speaking. In fact, he's so expert that where Charlie sees disaster, he sees opportunity.
You have a captive audience downstairs waiting to hear what kind of inspiring performance you have planned next.
Of course, Charlie doesn't see it yet because she isn't at his level of proficiency.
I can't. How can I face them after failing them all so hard?
Alistair makes note of this. Whereas Vaggie had simply encouraged Charlie to throw her weight around a bit more, Alistair begins to give her concrete, actionable advice, which goes a lot further towards remedying the issue. In fact, the way he teaches her can be cleanly mapped onto one of the most common lesson designs, the gradual release. The way gradual release works is you start by modeling the assignment, showing the student all the steps of how to do what you're asking them to do. Then you do it a second time together, where you let the student take the lead, but you're right there to help them if they need it. Lastly, you let them do it on their own. You can support them, but it's their project and they can take the lead. Alistair's first rhetorical lesson is a breakdown of how composure can be leveraged to your advantage. When she asks him how he can stand there smiling, enjoying everyone's suffering, he seizes this teachable moment. He tells her,
"A smile is a valuable tool, my dear. It inspires your friends, keeps your enemies guessing, and ensures that no matter what comes your way, you're the one in control."
By explaining how his tactic works, he makes it accessible for her as a tool of her own. When Alistair volunteers his contacts, he prompts her to recall his advice.
As long as Charlie can be her normal, charming self.
And she shows that she understands and is ready to apply the strategy when she replies,
What's that you said about smiles?
Alistair continues to boost her confidence by putting her in a situation where she can practice and where she's extremely likely to succeed. He takes her to see his friend and professional contact, Rosie, to ask for recruits. His own personal credibility with Rosie helps,
and old Alistair has never done me wrong before.
but he makes sure to talk Charlie up to Rosie. When he introduces them, he uses her full title and makes it clear that Charlie is someone important.
And Rosie, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Princess Charlie Morningstar, daughter of Lucifer and heir to the throne of hell.
Then he stays with her to ensure that she has support if she needs it. He even forgoes a business opportunity to stay with her and look after her.
Appreciate the offer, but we're here on business of another kind.
But though he gives her an introduction and stays with her just in case, he lets her take the lead, only stepping in when she really needs it. When Charlie tries to explain the problem to Rosie and gets overwhelmed,
The extermination is coming early. It'll be here in a month, and they're coming from my hotel and my friends first, and
he cuts in.
We need your help.
Rosie follows Alistair's lead. Even when he steps in to help Charlie, she speaks to Charlie, not Alistair.
Wow, when you ask a favor, you don't start small, do ya, Your Highness?
She agrees to help, saying,
What can I say? I like your moxie, girl.
an aspect of her presentation style and an element of ethos, which are historically things Charlie has struggled with. In the spirit of creating opportunities for Charlie to practice her persuasive speaking, she gives Charlie another opportunity to present when she tells Charlie that she has to be the one to convince the cannibals to join her in battle.
Now, darling, you know I would do anything for my clients. But I can't exactly command all of Cannibal Town to follow someone else into battle. Now, don't get me wrong. They love carnage and bloodshed. But to get this group into line, you gotta win them over.
She and Alistair give her all the tools they can: smile, moxie, a heads up about the way to win over the crowd, their endorsement. They call the cannibals to attention. They hand her the microphone and introduce her as a royal guest with a special message.
Please put your bloody hands together for Princess Charlie.
And throughout the speech, they give her encouragement. In short, they give her all the support she needs to succeed on her own, and she still puts her foot in her mouth. Susan is a heckler, and in many ways, she's the culmination of everything Charlie's been trying to overcome throughout the season. She's predisposed to not want to listen to Charlie. She's uninterested in what she has to say. She's not inclined to help her. Charlie has no idea how to handle this, and she handles it poorly.
Fuck you old bitch!
At this, Rosie rushes in and pulls her off the stage and leverages this failure as a teachable moment. Rosie gives Charlie two things. First, she gives her the space to sort out her thoughts and feelings about Vaggie.
Quite a secret. How does that make you feel?
This is something Charlie desperately needs and has been trying to figure out all day. Just look at the state she's in when she and Alistair walk to Cannibal Town.
And I tell her everything. My hopes, my dreams, my insecurities, my embarrassing habits, what fucking deodorant I like. And she keeps something like this from me.
Alistair is exceptionally ill-equipped to handle this conversation, but Rosie?
Romance? My specialty.
She sits with Charlie and helps her sort through her thoughts that have nothing to do with defending the Hazbin against angels. And when Charlie shows that she can handle those feelings, Rosie gives Charlie some more concrete advice about how to win over her people.
Well, how do you normally explain your hotel?
By singing. But that never works.
It will work here. Trust me.
Rhetorically, Charlie applies their lessons to establish credibility with her audience. She explains the lengths to which she'll go for them.
Have you ever felt like you're willing to die to save the people of your city? By die, you mean use my teeth to rip flesh apart? That's a start.
She describes her own place in the story.
'Cause right now we need a leader, and it seems to me that destiny has picked me to be that, if you'll permit me. So who's with me?
From then on, she uses more typical recruitment lines, promising them travel and friends.
A lot of sights to see en route to my hotel, not to mention the camaraderie.
She's doing considerably better now, but the training wheels are not off yet. Alistair and Rosie each step in to help her in the early verses of her song, then let her continue with autonomy and ownership over her pitch. There's a selling point that Alistair fed to Charlie when they first made their pitch to Rosie.
They will be able to eat their fill.
This has a lot of potential to sway the audience, and you can see Alistair waiting patiently for her to use it. But when she doesn't, he helps her out by pulling the trigger for her.
And feast on all the angels you can eat.
Okay. Great.
This gets the cannibals going, which is a good thing. What Alistair does next is one of the most important teaching maneuvers he implements. Many would be tempted to step in and do the thing for her if they had the skill set to do it better, more quickly, etc. But he doesn't. With the cannibals firmly on her side, Alistair steps back out of the spotlight and physically pushes Charlie back into center stage. He's not trying to take this from her, just help her out here and there when she needs it. Rosie does something very similar. All this enthusiasm from the cannibals gets a bit overwhelming to Charlie. She's chosen rhetoric as her weapon of choice, but it's more effective than she thought it would be. She tries to rein it in, saying,
"That's a little violent, can we tone it down?"
At which Rosie physically pulls her aside and tells her not to balk at the power she wields and encourages her to keep singing.
Oh, don't be put off by the snarling. That's enthusiasm, darling.
They just seem a little murdery right now.
Don't worry, honey, that's their thing. Keep singing.
Charlie steels herself and continues, singing that she's coming into her own, and for the first time she actually embodies the authority necessary to instill confidence in potential allies.
For the first time in my life, maybe I can be ready for this. I can be the marshal leading the parade. I can come into my own, and I think I've always known my destiny could never be postponed. When Adam brings the battle here, I must appear like I'm ready for this.
After their brief prompting and coaching, Rosie and Alistair can stand off to the side and proudly sing of Charlie's audience.
They're dancing along, they're singing her song.
This is what success looks like for them in their mentor roles. While episode 7 is all about how far Charlie has come, episode 8 hammers home just how far she still has to go. Charlie's fight with Adam is sandwiched between Alistair's and Lucifer's, and from a rhetorical standpoint, there's a big difference between what she can do and what they can do. First, let's examine how Alistair carries himself and handles Adam. Whether or not Alistair knows he's outmatched, he doesn't let on. He greets Adam.
Adam! First man, next to die.
When Adam tries to diminish him,
Who the fuck are you?
Alistair introduces himself.
Alistair, pleasure to be meeting you. Quite a pleasure. I'm about to end your fucking life.
Everything Adam tries to throw his way, Alistair effortlessly dodges with a verbal parry and riposte.
A mortal soul is no match for me, edgelord.
You should know better than anyone what a soul can accomplish when they take charge of their own fate.
This bravado can be a valuable tool for keeping your enemy destabilized, but at the end of the day, words are just words. They can't cut like a blade, and ultimately, Alistair has to end his broadcast, leading to Charlie's phase of the fight. Charlie's come a long way from where she started, but she's still a long way from what Alistair just showcased. She doesn't cow to Adam's taunts anymore, and even claps back a couple of times.
These sinners are my family.
But it just doesn't have the same snappiness as Alistair's. Whereas he responds directly to things Adam says.
You think you're tough shit, huh?
I'm tougher than you.
And uses it to pivot to some insults of his own that might actually serve to distract Adam.
You lack discipline, control, and worst, you're sloppy.
Her retorts lack follow-through.
That's Princess of Hell to you, pig.
It's an improvement on
Adam, sir, Mr. Adam, sir.
But we're still a long way from the mastery of verbal sparring we see from Alistair and Lucifer. Lucifer is also an extremely eloquent speaker and particularly good at getting under Adam's skin. Check out their opening lines. Adam calls him
The most hated being in all of creation.
but they have a history together, so Lucifer says,
Well, your first wife didn't seem to hate what I had to offer. Or the second.
it works because he responds directly to the thing Adam said and turns it around as an insult, calling him a cuck. So compared to Alistair and Lucifer, Charlie has a lot to learn, but her
Story has just begun.
and she has time to learn it over the course of the next few seasons. Charlie's greatest accomplishment in season 1 was the recruitment of mentors and allies. Emily,
But she was right, Sarah.
Rosie,
I like your moxie, girl.
Alistair,
And we're doing it with a smile.
Lucifer,
You've changed my mind. You've touched their hearts, found the good in souls gone bad.
are all willing now to aid her. Some of them can do things Charlie literally can't, including leveraging their credibility with heaven, and some just have more practice with things she can learn and have the patience to teach her. Moving forward, she has the opportunity to leverage those relationships into opportunities for success, but how that'll be done is yet untold. Thank you everyone who watched this whole thing through. This has been my biggest project, both in ink spilled and in how long I've worked on it. I started in June. I remember standing in line at Disney for Pirates of the Caribbean and having the epiphany that Alistair uses the gradual release model and jotting that down. And it's October as I'm recording this. Probably December by the time it goes up. Back then I thought this would be a 3-parter, but after 2 of my 3 parts exploded, I realized I was trying to tackle too much in too little space and ended up with 5 videos in my script. I'd like to do more deep dives into characters, and thank goodness none of them have as much to go over as Charlie. Lucifer, Nifty, and Emily have floated to the top of the heap lately, so subscribe and stay tuned if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on any of them. If you really like what I do, sharing this video to fan groups or playlists is awesome, and if you'd like to tip me, my Ko-fi is in the description below. Alright, that's all I've got. I'll see you in my next video analysis of Rosie's Ace in the Hole line. I have original stuff to say, I promise.